कौन नहीं चाहता कि उसका मेंटर एक यूपीएससी रैंकर हो। 2021 के फाइनल रिजल्ट्स में सिविल्स दिल्ली आईएएस के 200 से भी ज्यादा सिलेक्शंस हैं। गाइस, आई एम गोइंग टू कनेक्ट यू 1-to-1 विद सिविल्स दिल्ली रैंकर्स फॉर फ्री। देयर इज अ लिंक इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन, फिल इट एंड schedule a session. These ranker will prepare a timetable and a personalized plan for you. ये टॉपर्स आपको exactly वही बताएंगे कि कौन सी बुक फॉलो करनी है, कौन सा चैप्टर पढ़ना है. They will guide you in answer writing, mocks and accessing them. Don't miss this golden opportunity to get mentored by a ranker.
I am Tirumani Sri Pooja. I have ranked 62 in recent results of Civil Services 2021, and this video is about anthropology because I have changed various strategies of mine from my first attempt to second attempt, which made my marks shift from 212 to 283. So I would like to communicate what changes I have done and what worked for me, and you may use what would be useful for you. First thing is why I picked anthropology. My reasons were like my graduation subject hasn't been offered in civil services, so I wanted to pick something which is easily understandable for someone with no background from this. So there are subjects like anthropology, sociology and others which we can pursue directly from scratch even after graduation if we don't have any background. Second thing is I have come across few news events which made me interested about tribal policy, how government engages with tribals. So I found this area very interesting and I wanted to learn more about it. So these are the two reasons which encouraged me to pick anthropology. So similarly, if you are planning to pick anthropology, consider few factors which would be helping you to go through it. First thing is anthropology is a limited subject. It doesn't expand from year to year. So you can be at least feeling confident once you have completed the syllabus that once decent amount of hard work has been done, you can see the results. So this is one of the major benefits of anthropology. Second thing is people who are inclined towards biology, who are inclined towards scientific technologies will be very much excited to read the first paper of anthropology, which is very much about genome sequencing, DNA and how internal body works. So this actually keeps the interesting part going on. For me, anthropology was the subject which made me feel more technical and logical when I was feeling lagging with GS preparation. So this can also be one of the motivating factors of anthropology. Third thing is there are many people who are more interesting about knowing about the subtleties of the culture and subtleties of the tribals, how they live, how they do economic transactions and marriages and all. This will be very exciting area to understand from, and anthropology provides best opportunity to see the deep root levels of the society. So all these factors to be considered for picking anthropology. And once you have made your decision to start with the anthropology, for the people who are starting now with the preparation, my best suggestion is manage your resources effectively. Anthropology is such a subject which has extensive availability of resources. Like all the toppers has opened their own blogs where they give extensive list of the resources which we can rely on. But it is also required that we manage rationality and we be decisive in picking the resources. So for example, in my case for physical anthropology I relied on PNAD, which is very extensive. For like even if we have relied on the other notes and many things, by using PNAD we can get very technical where we need. For example, I am interested in genetic area of anthropology, so I have done my own research in this and studying in this CAR T cells therapy and genome sequencing applications and all, so which made my answers content rich in this particular area. And in the second part, like in the socio-cultural anthropology, there are already ample resources and like Braintree, which I have used very good, and there are institute materials are also good like White Sirs and Sosin Ma'am's materials are good for socio-cultural anthropology. And socio-cultural anthropology is the place where you can build the examples and value addition, because that is very close to what is happening in society. For example, there is a chapter on myths and religions. In the most of the available resources, there is usual discussion about myths in the Pacific region, myths in the Central American region, but I felt that by including myths about more local region or myths more famous in the contemporary situation will make it more relative and more interesting in the answers. So I used that and it actually benefited me. So this was what I did for socio-cultural anthropology. And for the paper 2, I felt that any resource which was compiled by institutions would be more comprehensive, but to get actual understanding of deeper aspects, we can read Tribal India and in Tribal India by Nadeem Hussain, so we can add better value to the answers. So this was how I managed resources, and there will be a obsession or there will be a tendency to go for hopping of multiple resources which will eat away our time. It is good to keep multiple resources handy, like keep one resource as base. Wherever you find a dearth of content in that particular resource, refer other resource, but keep your base resources constant. So this was regarding resource management. Next, I would like to talk about how important it is to make our own self notes. So self notes is very useful because our brain makes mental maps when we make notes by ourselves. So what I experienced is particularly in the physical anthropology, when I did Pinath is a very big book and it becomes very tough to revise. So I tried to make it a short notes format and pictorial format, so it was easy to recollect from the head. So for such scientific aspects or for such aspects where you need to collect from various dimensions, make your own notes. And if you need, make your own entire notes for anthropology using syllabus and previous year's questions as a backup, like as a background. You use them as reference and make in their own format so that your notes become comprehensive and it doesn't have any gaps. So that is regarding self notes. But is self notes very mandatory? I don't think so. Like for people who have been not ready until prelims and who have to appear for the mains, I don't think now you have to start from scratch for mains. Rather, you can rely on already available resources. Like you can go for already existing toppers notes, use that as a base and build on it. I have used notes like Sachin Gupta sir, Varnit Negi sir and Mandar Patki. So by using these notes, what I did was I got an understanding about the structuring and conclusions. For example, we are reading about economic aspects of anthropology. And we will be reading some theories. If we are reading on our own, there will be all the aspects will be covered, but some aspect like criticism or some aspect like alternative may not be covered in our source. So by using toppers notes or any other notes who have extensively worked on it, our notes will become better structured. And structure is very important for anthropology because it is what helps us to recollect things and bring the things into head at a comfortable pace. And anthropology, another advantage and disadvantage is materials availability. Because of the extensive materials availability, there is a trend that everyone's answers are being same. Like the evaluator also gets a monotonous feel by correcting the same kind of answers. So to make our answers stand a little apart or to stand little unique, what we have to do is our own value addition. So to keep our own value addition unique, either go for current affairs. For example, you are reading about religion in first part and there is something about witchcraft. So witchcraft, we will be reading about all the scientific and anthropological aspects of witchcraft, but we cannot draw many examples. So just go to the Google and just type witchcraft and see the news articles of witchcraft. You will be finding that in West Bengal some lady was attacked based on witchcraft allegations. So this is a social issue and also anthropological issue. By drawing such kind of examples in the paper makes our answers look very relevant and makes us look we have worked something in that area. So value addition is important. Either do it from the news articles or there are certain telegram groups which are trying to compile maximum, like Sosin ma'am is doing her part and Anthro Guru Pavan sir is also compiling good number of resources and papers published in anthropological area. So this is what helps. And one more thing is try to watch documentaries regarding anthropology, which helped me in 2020 attempt where there was a question on Jane Goodall, and actually I watched a Jane Goodall documentary and I could write my entire answer from the documentary. So yeah, when you are bored of reading, try to watch documentaries also, which keeps your data and syllabus unique. And regarding the test series, how important is test series for anthropology? I believe test series is important for entire mains preparation because though we have the entire data on our head, it may not be reflecting on the paper correct or it may not be presenting good enough on the paper. So what we need to do is once we are done studying, we have to write them in test series, and it is very better if we make the tests in periodic intervals, like make sectional test series. Like anthropology, once you have finished the part 1, half of the part 1, like biological anthropology, write a test at the end of it. It will help in 2 ways. One thing is we will be evaluating our questions. Second thing is, once we have read for an entire week on the same subject, on the end of the week, if you are spending 3 hours on brainstorming every aspect of it, it will definitely help retaining the whatever we have read on the last 7 days better. So test series will help that way. Second thing is regarding test series, choosing the test series. There are various kinds of test series. Few are very professional, where the evaluator corrects the paper and gives it in a feedback format. Few are like personally guiding and mentor based test series. So choose at your own convenience. People who are very comfortable in answer writing, I don't think personalized mentor guidance is required. We can directly opt for test series which will provide valuable questions, unique questions, and also discussion videos. For this I have opted Sosin ma'am's and L2A Bala sir's test series in my 2 attempts. And for the people who want personalized guidance, who want to start from the beginning and want to understand how very minor aspects of answers can be improved, for them there are sources like Vishnu sir, there are sources like Karandeep sir, who will be providing personalized mentorship. So you can choose based on your own convenience. Second thing is, not only the evaluators, it is also important to have a peer discussion. Try to find other people who are also preparing for the same optional and exchange what the answers you have written. So that what happens is, your resource must be very good, but your structure may be not so effective, or your presenting might not be so effective. You can benefit from what the other person is doing, and similarly you can also offer help to the other person. So it will be reciprocating, and it will definitely improve both of your answers. Or have a peer discussion so that people can bring a new value addition to the answers. So this is regarding test series and peer discussion, which is very useful for improving the answer writing and presentation. Then case studies management. For anthropology, case studies are very important because as we have discussed earlier, everyone writes the static part and the standard part in the same way. So the case studies is where you stand apart. So the case studies need to be very comprehensive. Like if they are asking about tribal problems, we have to be going entire extent of alienation, education, health and genetic health, and crimes against tribals, addictions. So there will be a huge range of the problems. So try to have a case study for each range. So it was my strategy for paper 2. Like whenever I discuss a point, I made it clear that I have to give an example at the end of the point. So by making it a very case study rich and intensive, my answers definitely became better. And regarding case studies, we also need to maintain proper management. Don't overwhelm with many case studies. Like if we have done already good in Panchayat Raj, don't go for extra case studies. Just keep your case studies limited. Revise the same thing so that you can remember the case studies to exact point. Like 30,000 families displaced, 4.5 acres were distributed. Like that you can actually recall the exact decimal level data. So your answer looks accurate and precise. So this is required regarding case study management. And regarding the case study management in the paper 1, particularly regarding physical anthropology, the case studies are very old. Like usually whatever covered in the resources are easily 2003 and 2015, 2003 to 2015 range. So to renew our case studies, what we can do is, one thing as we have discussed earlier, current affairs and telegram groups. Second thing is, whatever we do in the science and technology for prelims and mains will also be useful for anthropology, like the research in CAR T cells, research in genome sequencing, research in recently, for example, there was Tokyo Olympics where there was so many somatotypes have been understood. So all these things can be drawn to the static part of the anthropology, and you can actually enrich your answers. For this you also need to be very aware of finding what are the aspects happening in the current context and try to draw anthropological relevance. For example, COVID was very big event. So what we can draw from COVID is how it impacted society and how it impacted tribals in the paper 2. And first paper, how it impacted how it helped genome research. For example, there was a research which was telling that because of certain sequence, tribals are more susceptible. So this if you put on the paper, it looks better, content rich. So be very aware with current affairs, and when you use current affair based example, it looks very rich. And I want to talk about diagrams. We know that anthropology has huge potential for diagrams. So there are various aspects of diagrams. Firstly, in physical anthropology, we have aspects for diagrams like skull diagrams, bone diagrams, and which are accessible from directly PNAR, or also online notes which we can directly obtain. For this part, it will be very advantageous if we get the structure and if we get the parts of the diagram correct. For this, we have to keep practicing. It doesn't come suddenly. Like I used to do the skull diagrams of all the Australopithecus and Neanderthals when I am bored, like when just after dinner or something, when I am bored, I used to make these diagrams to keep myself refreshing and also get a practice of it. Well, this is one dimension of it. The second dimension is where you can create the diagrams. Like the entire other part of anthropology also has huge area for creating. For example, if you want to talk about social organization of tribals, like a band, community, tribe and all, we can make a Venn diagram or we can make a concentric circles. Similarly, in paper 2, we have so many scopes for hierarchical explanation of tribal organization. So we can use proper diagrams in both the areas. What we can do on our part is, when we write an answer or when we are reading one section of the syllabus, after reading one entire section, just think for 2 minutes, can I draw a diagram, can I create a diagram of this area so that it looks better. This will also help you to have a set of diagrams handy before the exam. Second thing, it will give you a practice to create the diagram spontaneously on the day of the exam. For example, last year in the physical anthropology, for the questions I have chosen, I felt that my answers didn't have enough scope for diagram. So I was trying to draw as much as possible many areas for diagrams. And there was a question about human adaptation and how it is helpful, bipedalism, how it helped humans. So I never prepared any diagram on it, or I have never seen a diagram on it. But because of the practice, I just drew a human figure and I just drew sun and how the sun rays affect and how the bipedalism reduces the sun exposure to human body. Like a human walking on 4 legs will be more susceptible to sun rays than human walking on 2 legs. So I made it a diagrammatic and it really made a difference, and once I looked at the answer, it entirely gave a different feel. So this is what we can do when you can spontaneously develop a diagram, and it definitely gives an edge in the final exam. And for the diagrams, we can also use the earlier toppers notes like Kirti Chekuri ma'am and earlier blogs like Anudeep Durishetty sir blogs, which has enough potential for where the diagrams can be drawn. And regarding this, we should be extensively browsing the web for unique sources. Like for anthropological theories, everyone is familiar with all the resources in the hand, but there are sources like Alabama University, and there are new sources which are coming up, which are providing unique dimension of anthropological theories. And try to focus on the new anthropological theories like feminist anthropologies or human rights based anthropologies, neo-anthropological theories. So your content doesn't look old, and it feels like you are being up to date about the changes in anthropology. One more suggestion regarding content addition is, either on Instagram or on the web pages, try to follow 2 or 3 blogs of anthropologists, so that it will be giving you unique examples or standing apart examples, or sometimes you can answer an entire question based on that. Like when a question based on cultural relativism versus human rights, it is a very unique aspect, but usually these blogs are covering this kind of aspects. Once we cover it, our answer becomes more research based and more content based rather than very generalistic. And revision. For anthropology, revision is very, very important, because we know the anthropology syllabus is limited, it is concise. There is lot to memorize. In physical anthropology, we have so many biological terms to memorize, and like particularly Down syndrome, Patau syndrome, there are so many terms which we usually forget. For that, revision is important, and always try to make mental maps and try to represent the practice itself in chart forms. When you try to read evolution, try to make it in a box format like Australopithecus, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, Homo erectus. Like make a block kind of thing, so that you can cross compare each feature and see how the human has progressed. So you can actually see it and you can actually memorize it better. This kind of making a diagrammatic representation to remember better will work in this area, in the Down syndrome, Patau syndrome area, in the adaptations, in the second part of the anthropology, where the archaeological anthropology, and all these parts, when you make it in the diagrammatic format, you can remember better. And regarding archaeological anthropology, it was very tough for me to remember so many things. And one suggestion I would give to the people is don't try to overwhelm yourself with archaeological anthropology in a single stretch, because archaeological anthropology is such an area which has like hundreds of names keep coming with every stage of the culture, like Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic. There will be like multiplicity of names which we need to remember. So I felt it is better to do it in stages, like do a little part of archaeological anthropology, take 3-4 days break and just spend one more half an hour and do the next part. So it helped me to retain better and recall better. And for archaeological anthropology is also, diagrams are very important, and those won't come handy if we haven't had enough practice. So this is regarding the entire coverage. And as we were talking about revision, we need to revise so many times. And it's okay if you don't allot equal amount of time for every area. Don't assume that you have to give 3 or 4 revisions for every area. Omit the areas which you are already comfortable in. For example, my economy and polity and religion of socio-cultural anthropology were very comfortable. So I actually used to spare less time on that, and my anthropological theories and biological anthropology were tough. So I used to spend more time on that. So this facilitated me more revisions in the required area. And regarding the names and dates, I don't think there are any shortcuts for the anthropological theories and Indian anthropologists. Just have a pen, have a paper and put that on the notes, then only we can memorize better.
कौन नहीं चाहता कि उसका मेंटर एक यूपीएससी रैंकर हो। 2021 के फाइनल रिजल्ट्स में सिविल्स दिल्ली आईएएस के 200 से भी ज्यादा सिलेक्शंस हैं। गाइस, आई एम गोइंग टू कनेक्ट यू 1-to-1 विद सिविल्स दिल्ली रैंकर्स फॉर फ्री। देयर इज अ लिंक इन द डिस्क्रिप्शन, फिल इट एंड स्केड्यूल अ सेशन। These ranker will prepare a timetable and a personalized plan for you. ये टॉपर्स आपको exactly वही बताएंगे कि कौन सी बुक फॉलो करनी है, कौन सा चैप्टर पढ़ना है. They will guide you in answer writing, mocks and accessing them. Don't miss this golden opportunity to get mentored by a ranker.
And last thing is, when we are revising, be persistent and don't lose patience, because for me, when I have changed my strategy in the second attempt, I have tried to include many case studies, I have tried to include many diagrams, and it was just feeling that I am overwhelming myself with data, but I can't reflect on my paper. Like 2-3 papers where I have written, I was getting just marks of 107 and 108. I don't even think I have crossed 110 before 1.5 months of my mains. So eventually it started retaining. Eventually I could recollect better. So don't get impatient. Even the people who are in the beginning stage of the preparation, like even if you have been studying it for 6-7 months in a stretch, and if you are starting a test series and if your marks are not reflecting, it's okay. Just be organized, be consistent. At the end, when on the day of the exam it is required, you can recollect better. Even if you can't recollect better, like don't get concerned on the point you are not recollecting. You will be having enough amount of data and enough amount of skills you have mastered over the time, which you can be using on the day of the exam, and you can actually make your answers look 100% good. So finally, for all the anthropology and other optional aspirants, what I am willing to say is, have your resources concise, and always have toppers copies, whoever has written already, as standards. Because even though our standards are very good, we have to always check what worked successful for the people. So have that as a base point to construct our answers and develop on them. Third thing is, be consistent and be patient for your results to actually show up on the final day. So all the best for everyone. Thank you.